All right. So I lost you guys for a moment there. So I was saying for people who trade, sometimes they're just getting started, installing an EA, getting the settings right. It's just so frustrating already. For people who try a new skill, let's say in this day and age, a lot of people by choice they gotta work a different job than the one that they're schooled in or the one that you're used to. Why? Because maybe the job position is no longer open. You have to settle for less. Some people got retrenched, work somewhere else. It's frustrating to learn somewhere new. And most people, when they face a problem, what they do, agonize. So the first tip that you need to do is to understand the importance of play. When when uh, when I was just putting my kids to bed, they were instantly reading an encyclopedia. It was a page about dolphins. And dolphins is one kind of an animal that they're really peculiar because I mean they live in the sea, they're a mammal, but that's not why they're peculiar. What they're peculiar is that for the lifespan of the dolphin, play is a very, very important aspect for them. More so than most other species that exist, including humans. And they do this from the time that they're young to the time that they're adults. And they do this in knowing full well of the dangers that lurk in the sea, knowing full well of the fact that they need to find food on a daily basis, knowing full well that they need to rest on a daily basis. So amidst all the things, right, play is still a very important component for them. And scientists have said that dolphins are the most intelligent um, sea mammals and possibly most intelligent mammals, right? That's why so many studies have to be done on dolphins. So think about what's different about when you were young and you were old. A lot of people say that people learn best when they're young, when they're children. And one of the reasons that helps them learn better is the fact that they play. Okay? Play exercises different parts of the mind, by the way. And it's a way of giving your brain a workout, a way of balance to what you currently what you're currently doing. Like right now, I mean, if you know like biceps and triceps, okay, like there's so many people out there who like to train the biceps but not the triceps, um, and in your mind it's the same. So for traders, if you want to try and play around a little bit, what would that be? Well, after you're done with your daily trading, why don't you just switch to your demo account, and when you switch to your demo account, just try some crazy stuff. Anything that you're thinking of, just try it. I mean, what's the worst thing can happen, right? The worst thing can happen, you blow your demo account, you restart it, and you do it again. But your main account, you're still using your main strategies. I'm not asking you to go crazy on your demo account, right? But that's play. You're just playing around, goofing around with your demo account. And for that same matter, let's say if you if you drive, okay, a lot of people are just so constrained with rules, speed limits, and fuel economy and stuff, and they have not even I know so many people who drive European cars with the higher engine capacities, but have never ever heard the roar of their engines. So if that's you, I mean, you don't have to. I'm not asking you to kind of like drive at 200 on a back road, although you could if you're experienced, which I do a lot, by the way. um, but on the other hand, how about just hitting to an empty space, just flooring the accelerator with your gear on neutral on a park, you know, rev it for whatever the heck it is. For someone who has a car with a higher CC, that is as relieving as going to the top of the mountain and yelling. Okay, so just goof around a little bit. Now the second thing I want to talk about is connect. Okay, so connecting with people is great. If you want to actually well, we're the part of the fact that we have a ability to communicate more so than most animals, because as a human, we can. Just one moment, my dogs are like really distracting me. My wife's dogs, not my dogs. They're just distracting me. It's like I don't know what the heck. Oh gosh, can you just shut up already? Stop it! Stop it! Gosh! Stop scampering around! Gosh! You put that in your water bowl? Are you kidding me? Oh gosh, I hate chihuahuas. My wife insisted on having them. Yeah. So the second aspect is to connect. Well, humans have different abilities. We have the ability to use body language. We have the abilities to use um, visual cues. We have the ability to use spoken language. We have the ability to make sounds, gesture. Okay, there's so many things that we can do and to communicate with one another. And on top of that, humans can feel. Okay, so if we're having all these abilities, it's obvious that when we were created, okay, now it's not the existential argument as to who created us, but for what we are, for what we can do. Why aren't we meant to use these skills? Because the fact that we're created this way, it is a natural adaptation for us. So why aren't we using it? So let me tell you a little bit of the story. Okay, recently, I got pretty bored with life. I don't mean bored as in bored, like I'm going to kill myself, kind of bored, but but kind of like here I am in Thailand. I love the way it is. I love the low cost of living. I love the bunch of activities that are always available to do. I love the fact that I can live in a larger space house. Drive the car that I want for a lot less than when I used to live in Singapore. It's not cheap, but it's a lot less. The convenience of getting like super great food anywhere. But one thing that I realized I was sorely missing was the fact that I didn't really have connections. So lately, when I started having a lot of friends from Singapore, or let's say get introduced to people from Singapore, or let's say any other country where people speak, like fluent English and like to talk about ideas rather than just talking about world events and people. All right, by the way, that's a saying. Did you know, like great people talk about ideas. Uh, Above average people talk about what's going on in the world, and like people low down the line they talk about other people. So I'm not trying to stereotype the people, Thai people who might be watching this video, but the fact of the matter is, like, up to here I have not really found a good middle point between work and social discussion. So I haven't really been able to have a really deep conversation that's just nice. I don't want something that's too deep. So I started looking out in some of the activities I'm involved in, like motorsport, um, I tennis, and then I started looking in these, joining a couple of Facebook groups, and I was looking for people in my area. So these are general groups, but when I started seeing certain names, um, I figured, hey, this guy could be from that country and that country. Well, I think we could click. We're a bunch of only Asians in the group. We probably could get something going. Um, so I started to connect with a bunch of people, and I was like, you know, it's kind of funny because you guys know that there's this long period of time that I've been completely uncontactable on Facebook. Where I just like floored with messages and don't want to reply any of them, because it just gets like when people see me online, everyone just starts messaging and messaging. It's crazy. But now, on the other hand, fast forward to present, it's really interesting to be able to kind of like, just start a conversation with someone who has the same interest, and then we start going about random other topics, and suddenly there's something interesting to look forward to, when coming online, when logging into Facebook. Um, Connections is important. I mean, don't just keep it to Facebook. If you could meet offline, even better. Um, and like recently, it's just been so invigorating, because pretty much in the past, if if I was going out anywhere, it would just pretty much be me and my wife's friends, and so by default, my wife's friends would have to be my friends as well. But um, further along the way, when I started making more friends in my local context, so people who came often, people from elsewhere who came often, I was like, hey, that's really exciting. It's like, oh, you're here? Yeah, I got. Let's come out and meet. So the first thing, like I said, is play. The second thing is connect with people. The third thing is rest. Okay, um, By the way, for those people for Connect, well, trading, for those people who trade, if you're in my trading group, connect with other people, because like some of them may have similar interests, because some of them, may come from the same town as you. And if you have a friend, maybe someone else is also a single mom, or someone else is a single dad, or someone else is a mechanic and you're a mechanic as well, someone also in real estate, you're in real estate, you have some certain topics to talk about. And you know why? Because any activity is lonely at some point. And it's always great to have someone that you can bounce ideas of. And sometimes it's not always about success and making money. Sometimes it's about having a friend. Sometimes it's about having someone that you can talk to. And there's some times when no trading can be done in the markets. And well, you guys can talk. And sometimes it's that one of you know that trading shouldn't be done, or one of you know that it's not a good time to invest in gold. It's not a good time to invest in XYZ. And then as a friend, having a friend that you never had, having that one friend that you never had before, that can make a tremendous difference to like how you're gonna that friend say out of obligation as a friend because they treasure you. It's like, you know what, you better not trade tomorrow, it's gonna be dangerous. Why? Because this is happening. Brexit is gonna have another round of talks. You know what, you better not trade tomorrow because um, people are talking about Trump getting impeached and he's having a press conference. You better not trade. You don't want any nasty surprises. You better shift your stop losses. So that's part of Connect. Now we're going to talk about the final tip, which is rest. Rest is so important. Okay, I I know this very well because like I said, the first thing, like, play exercises different parts of your brain, and at the same time, here's a little trick. Okay, did you know that dolphins sleep with one eye open, and they kind of alternate parts of their brain when they rest? Interesting, right? Why? Because um, they want to be aware somewhat that they're safe from enemies or predators that could be coming after them when they're taking a rest. But they're able to consciously rest one part of the brain and then rest another part of the brain next. So when it comes to learning, like I say, if you're learning to trade, if you're learning to get successful in life in a new skill, do it in such a way that you're alternating stuff. When my kids go to school and come back from school, the drive is pretty long. It's like 23 kilometers. So what I do for them is that I pick like YouTube videos that they can alternate different parts of the brain. For example, we start off with math. Okay, math is more of a logical brain, right? And then if we did like language, like it could be Chinese, could be English, could be Thai, and that's going to be a cognitive brain. So that's a different part of the brain, and we can alternate between one and another. It's the same as when we work out. Like if you know what's called supersets when you work out. And by the way, my workout only consists of supersets, and that's how I lost. Like right now is 8 kilos of weight since like 2.5, almost 3 months ago. Um, so I do only supersets, and what that is good is that you know by working different parts that are not being used, other parts are allowed to rest, and you can get a full benefit. So I'm like when you're kind of like when you are want to improve your trading, sometimes being at the screen for too long is not going to make a difference. Ever felt like sometimes when you're drunk, or having a hangover, uh, on that day that you're having a hangover, you could be doing a really simple task, like certain things in a spreadsheet, or let's say, um, like for me on the side, I also do a little bit of Amazon with my wife. It's a business that we have together, and sometimes when we're doing like a product launch, we have to send out we give like rebates to the customers, and when we manually send out these rebates, it usually takes me like 1.5 minute per rebate, the whole process of it. I mean, so um, on when I'm having a hangover, sometimes I can take like 4 times of that time. Why? Because it shows that certain part of the brain is not actually rested and is fatigued, deeply fatigued. This is the reason why sometimes when you wake up in the morning, um, like if you didn't have a good sleep that night, you feel that you may have this idea that, hey, I'm really sharp when it comes to talking to my friends. Let's say for some of you, you are like a solopreneur. So you take charge of like production, marketing, customer service all by yourself. And you're feeling that, hey, I'm doing the customer service stuff pretty decently this morning. Though I didn't have enough sleep last night, but maybe just based on this, I could just go on and do this other production thing where I have to produce new content. But when you come to producing the new content, your brain is dead. You just, you're at the wall. You can't get anything out. You stare at the screen, you tap your pencil for hours, but nothing comes out. No inspiration comes out. And the reason is like you need to rest different parts of your brain. And this is where power naps is very effective. Like not too long ago, whenever I feel fatigued, I used to pump myself with like drugs like Ritalin. I have ADHD, so I have Ritalin, so I would depend on that to kind of cheer myself up. But you know what I also found out is that if you're tired, you're tired. You just can't get anything more out of it. So it's like, let's say if you have a computer, there's only so much you can overclock it, for those of you who overclock stuff. If you have a car, there's only so much you can tune it. Anything more is going to break down. Anything more is going to be a point of decreasing returns. Okay, you can tweak everything. Like even expert advisor in Forex, you can tweak, the various settings. But, there comes to a point where you can only push it so much. If you don't want to risk more than this, you can only push it so much. So give it some rest, okay? And if the markets are not really doing anything, take it a chance to rest. Maybe you've not been resting enough. Um, if and rest well, okay? Like what I find to be really good lately is that right after the meal, okay, before this I used to have a problem where I still have massive problems organizing my timetable, because I mean I have, as ADHD, I have Asperger's syndrome. I have very bad sense of organization, all right? And like I've been in situations where I know my youngest daughter sleeps at a certain time of the day, but I would still, knowing full well, somehow, somewhat, kind of like miss her before the sleep time if I'm just very, like if I'm in the midst of a very intense project. So it kind of like, cuts down our daily interaction time. And I was like, oh shit, how did I miss that? I was like, what? Did I come by like 15, 30 minutes late? Oh sheesh. So um, I found out that right after a meal, okay, right now I don't eat grain carbs in my meals at all during the weekday, and it helps me keep alert in the afternoon. But still, right after the meal time, because all that blood is down in my gut, so I'm not the most alert. I can possibly like Facebook message. I could possibly make some kind of a video, but if I had to do like some really deep intensive work, I find that I would just do be very slow. So I use that time right after the meal to spend time with the kids. This is what I do. I started doing that like from a few days ago. I figured out right after the meal is the best time to spend time with the kids. So guys, don't just jump back straight into work, because you're not going to be at your productive best anyway. And when you jump right back into kids, remember I said this comes back to like contact, connecting. This is another element. And connecting with other people gives you energy. Um, this is something very metaphysical, but it does actually make you feel that much better. So if you have a problem with like dozing off after a meal, why not use that time to immediately connect with your loved ones? And then speaking of rest, like lately I've been okay. I never before saw the point in waking up super early, but unfortunately I have to wake up pretty early every day to send my kids to school. Like I said, they're 23 kilometers out. In the past, I used to think, for many years, I used to think that um, waking up early is for people stuck in the rat race. Waking up early is for employees. Waking up early is for I'm way past waking up early. For my position in life, I don't need to wake up early. there's no reason why I should wake up early. In fact, as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur, as a owner of my own business, as an owner of businesses, as an investor, I should be waking up no earlier than 10 or 11. This was what I used to tell myself. But what I found out later on was that when I slept at 9, um, like sometimes this happens because of the fatigue, because my day starts really early. I wake at 6 something, and like after dinner, I do about 100 plus kilometers on the road every day, and by the time like my kids' bedtime story, I doze off together with them quite often as well, especially on days when I have a heavy workout. So this is one of the this is one of the things that led me to realize that if I sleep early, I wake up early, the sleeping time may be the same, in fact less, but for some reason I feel so much fresher. So that's something that you can try. Okay, it may not really make sense for you right now. So, sleep early? You kidding me? Who the heck sleeps at 9? But well, I'm not asking you to do it every day. You just do it some days. There's a difference. And if you need to do something important, okay, it's been said by scientists that between the hours of 10 and 1 is when your body is in the state of its most repair. So if that's the case, and I found this to be true as well, if I sleep late and wake up late, I tend to have water retention. I will weigh on the scales maybe like a 1 kilo, 1.5 kilo more than usual. But if I sleep early, okay, if I have a lot of stuff to do, I've started trying this out lately. Just just kind of sleep from like 9 to 3, and I wake up, I'm super fresh. I feel like I had a full night's sleep. Or sometimes, if I had a lot of work to do, um, because like I said, the scientists say that from 10 to 1 is when your body is repairing itself and renewing itself. So what I do, um, sometimes is I try to sleep before 10, and then I wake at 1. So I'm past that time that the body's supposed to be repairing itself, and I'm ready to go again. And the next day I have no water retention. Interesting, right? So I kind of like take like a sleep, wake up, do some work, get back to sleep. Next day I'm fresh, no water retention. I don't feel like my brain is dehydrated in some part. You ever feel like, someone's like squeezing your brain? That's probably because you don't have a proper sleep. So you should look into that. So these are the 3 different things that can definitely improve the quality of your life. The first thing, like I said, is play. You're not playing enough. Go out and play. The more you play, the more it changes the ability for you to learn, improves the ability for you to learn. If you're in sales, if you're in marketing, um, you know, gamify things. If you're in trading, gamify the way that you trade. Get along with other traders, and if you're in a little bit of a friendly contest, use the tournaments that many brokers offer, because the tournament features, they give you like game money. It's not even real money, but then you can get a chance to hone your trading skills by pitting yourself against some of the world's best, or at least the ones who are willing to play too. And in the midst of play, you may discover a new thing or two. Connect. Are you connecting with people enough yet? Are you connecting with your family members yet? Enough. The quality of your life also depends on the people that you live with, the quality of their lives. So if you connect with the people that you live with more, and you have a better vibe between you, don't you think your life's going to improve? If you have a limited social circle, don't you think a bigger social circle is going to help in somewhat? Because there's always everyone has their lonely times. Finally, rest. Rest, people have different, like we use our brains differently depending on the jobs and tasks that we do. Sometimes rest could also be a very dynamic kind of a rest. Sometimes the rest could be some kind of alternation of training. Let's say if someone who is an accountant, he's just doing numbers and figures and balancing all day long. But the irony is that he's not balanced in other areas of life. So reading, um, movies, all these could be very restful activities that actually help create a balance in your life. So that's pretty much what I wanted to leave you with. And whether you're a trader, a budding entrepreneur, or someone in business, an employee, I hope by doing these tips, play, connect, rest, these will give you a better balance in your life.